This email comes from Mark, who is in Lake Orion, Michigan. Mark's email reads, Eddie, have you seen the video for Tape Machine, a spoof on Wasp's Love Machine? It is absolutely hilarious. I wish you would have Syncin Stanley on more often and let him riff for a good 5 or 10 minutes. I was excited to go see the Wasp concert in Detroit, but then saddened when I realized I was hearing a recording. Love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for all you do, Mike in Michigan. Mike, I did not go see Wasp on the last tour. I understand that Syncin got Wasp or Blackie to admit that he sings to a track in a meet and greet. I am, needless to say, as much as I love Blackie and have known him forever, I am massively disappointed by that. Again, I don't understand why this stuff goes on. I really don't. Somebody told me that there is also, and I've not seen the video you're talking about of Tape Machine. I mean, I love that people are finally taking notice of this and calling this out. I think it's really interesting with Motley Crue, and of course we had John 5 on Wednesday, that for years Motley Crue were transparent about this and seemed to embrace it. And then when Mick Mars called them out, being a member of the band, they've now really retracted from it. It's a really interesting trend that happens with this whole tracks epidemic, that when a fellow musician calls out a band or someone that was in the band or formerly in the band, in the case of Mick Mars, then that seems to change things. And suddenly bands deny it or reduce it or whatever the case may be. So now, according to John, talking about the Motley Crue situation, when John was on Wednesday, he claims that there is just some backing vocals and effects now with him in the band. But if you were listening to the show, as I said to John, I don't even understand what the need for that is for Motley Crue. There are 3 women singing on the stage. And, I mean, there's nothing more egregious than lip syncing to lead vocal and all this other madness that goes on. I have been preaching about this for years, and I will not stop because it is massively important that somebody gets a hold on this and people care. Again, the biggest problem here is if people don't care, we're dead. Because why would anybody stop if they're using a shit ton of tracks? If nobody seems to care, if promoters don't care, if fans don't care. So somebody told me, though, going back to Wasp, that there was a video online where the track went down and it kind of threw the band off, and then Blackie ended up just singing the song Truly, Totally live. And it sounded fine. Did it sound perfect? No. But that's not what our live rock show is supposed to be about. Again, going back to Motley, if you heard when John was on this past Wednesday, and he's like, well, I wouldn't mind having a little rhythm guitar under my guitar solos. I was like, no, don't do that. Van Halen didn't. You don't need that. It doesn't and isn't supposed to sound like the record. That is the whole point of a live rock show. Again, I sound like a broken record. I understand that. But people keep asking me for my opinions on this, and what am I supposed to do? Look, again, in closing on this topic, which is never ending, I love that I feel fully, I do not and will never take credit for something that I don't feel I had anything to do with. But I absolutely will take credit for making this a massive talking point in the last couple of years that continues, and I am very happy and proud about that, because in the end, maybe it will put pressure on some of these acts that are doing this to knock it off. Maybe Mick Mars saying what he said about Motley has caused them to knock off at least most of it. I don't know. Haven't seen the band. Maybe people like this video and others talking about whatever Blackie's doing, which, by the way, I heard he's been doing for a long time, but it's only happening now, being noticed in the U.S. because he hasn't toured in the U.S. in 10 years. Maybe it'll get him to stop. There have been bands that there's been this blowback about it that have stopped. I know for a fact that's happened. So I can only hope that this becoming such a big debatable point, which to me has no debate. I don't know how you defend it, but I can only hope that the end result is that the band stop doing it and realize it's not needed and that a live rock show should be live. What a concept.